It's time for another episode of Survivor Thailand, and last time, Kopoda was forced to test their new tribe dynamics after losing the immunity challenge. On one side, Ella and Trance tried targeting Nora, while on the other, Nora and Luciano tried getting out Ella. Plus, Willow ended up flipping on Ella and Trance, seeking out a new alliance with Luciano. With Chloe, Joe, and Wesley being the swing votes, Wesley pushed for Nora to go, while Joe and Chloe leaned towards taking out Ella. At Tribal Council, Ella and Trance went at it with Nora and Luciano, but right before the vote, Willow asked the tribe to vote them out due to their worsened foot injury. The tribe followed through and made Willow the sixth person voted out. Who will be the next person voted out? Plus, what new dynamics will form through the next tribe swap? We'll find out soon. It's day 12 on Survivor Thailand, and both tribes stand on their mats. Ko Tao finds out Willow was last voted out. Justin asks Trance how Tribal felt last night, and Trance admits it was sad to hear about Willow's foot injury worsening. They asked to go home and everyone unanimously agreed to grant their wish. Justin then asks Liesl how she feels seeing someone she knew go home from the other tribe, and Liesl says she's keeping Willow in her thoughts for the rest of her time on this season. She knows how strong and committed Willow was in this game, so the best everyone can do now is play their hearts out and make Willow proud. Justin then tells the final 14 players of the game that things will be changing up again. He lets them all know they will go through an official, randomized tribe swap. He then has everyone collect a random wrapped buff and then asks them to wait before unraveling their new buffs. Once everyone is ready, Justin counts them down, and everyone opens their new buffs. Justin asks them all to shift mats if they have a new color, so some people switch mats as a result. Justin then goes over the new tribes. On Ko Tao, we have Kaylee, Jordan, Morgan, and Liesl remaining on the same tribe, with new additions of Chloe, Joe, and Wesley. On the new Kopoda tribe, we have Luciano, Nora, Ella, and Trance remaining on the same tribe, with Sabrina, Zaylin, and Corey as new additions. With that, Justin sends both tribes to their camps, and all 14 follow through. In confessional, Luciano sighs and says that him and Nora may as well dig their own graves now. They went from a good position to a bad one. Ella and Trance will 100% try to get Corey and Zaylin back on their side, making them the majority alliance on this tribe. It pisses him off how he has to put in even more work now, after finally being in the majority not too long ago. At Ko Tao camp, all 7 players meet each other either for the first time, or from before. Jordan points out how both tribes kept 4 of their tribe members, and 3 of them swapped over. Chloe laughs and says Liesl is literally the only original Kopoda on here. Liesl pretends to laugh nervously, and then jokingly asks them to spare her life. In confessional, Liesl stares in silence, ticked off that she lost her whole alliance with Kopoda. Plus, she found out she lost Willow from last tribal council, so now she feels even more upset. However, she'll remain determined. Survivor winners always find a hurdle they need to cross over, and this is hers. She still has Jordan and Morgan who trust her, and she has been in an alliance with Kaylee since she swapped to her tribe. Hopefully these people don't look at her as an easy Kopoda boot and things shift around. Chloe then tells the group that last tribal was actually going to be between Ella and Nora going, but Willow asked to leave last minute. Liesl then asks curiously who they plan to vote out, and Chloe says Ella. In confessional, Wesley says that he ultimately did not want to push any buttons by further pushing Nora's name, so last night, Ella was going home. However, in a way, he's glad she ended up staying because of other circumstances. Ella and Trance know how much he tried to keep them around, so if they unite in the merge, they can work together and potentially unite with his old alliance with Morgan, Jordan, and Kaylee. On the new Kopoda tribe, everyone stands around camp, chatting a storm about this swap. Ella then publicly asks Zaylin, Corey, and Sabrina about their previous tribe, and Zaylin says it was pretty split in half. Both tribals they attended had a split vote. Luciano smirks and says they almost had to go through the same thing from Kopoda, but Willow wanted to leave and they granted that wish of theirs. In confessional, Ella cheers because she's back with Zaylin and Corey, two people who she worked with before. She'll assume Corey will remain loyal, but she's not 100% sure since Trance has been a bit paranoid with Corey right before the mini-swap. Either way, they now have a new member in Sabrina who could also be a useful number to her game once they get to know each other. Sabrina then points out how odd it is to be the only person here as a Day 1 Ko-Tao member. However, she's keen to get to know the 4 people she hasn't met yet. Ella welcomes her to the family, claiming that they love spending time as a group. In confessional, Sabrina crunches her face due to the fact that she's the only Day 1 Ko-Tao on this tribe. She doesn't know what connections Zaylin and Corey will have with their old tribe. Maybe these 6 will now come together and target her solely. She'll just have to make sure Zaylin and Corey carry her through this disaster since she only knows them. Later on, Ella reunites with Zaylin, happy to see her. Zaylin says the same, claiming how much she misses their old alliance. She's actually pretty terrified for Lizel, who is all on her own on the other tribe. Ella then asks if that means Lizel is going home first from that other tribe, but Zaylin thinks she'll be fine if she sticks to Jordan, Morgan, and Kaylee. In confessional, Zaylin says she's very satisfied by this swap because she can now reunite with Ella. However, there is one person here who she isn't excited to see, and that's the one person who started doubting her loyalty on original Kopoda. She's talking about Trance. She doesn't trust him anymore after hearing how doubtful and paranoid he was about her vote during the EK Tribal Council, so that to her indicates that she can't work with him. Ella then tells Zaylin that she hopes Corey is still tight with them, and Zaylin says he's good. Ella mentions how Nora and Luciano almost voted her out last night, so she's ready to get her way this time and take them out. In confessional, Ella says she feels like she's back to her old self on this tribe. She loves the amount of purple she's seeing now. She can finally get rid of Nora and Luciano without having to worry about anything going wrong. Meanwhile, Luciano chats with Corey alone, asking him how he's feeling in the game right now. Corey says he's playing this game with an open mind. In confessional, Corey feels like he's in an interesting position on this new tribe. He definitely feels closest to Zaylin, but after that, everyone else is on the same level for him. He doesn't really feel confident about his relationship with Trance and Ella, even though they have technically worked together before. On the other hand, Luciano is very easygoing, so he could be someone who would benefit his own game moving forward. Easygoing people are way better than those who seek control every day, just like what Trance and Ella have done. Luciano then lets Corey know that there's a war in progress between himself and Nora against Ella and Trance, and he wouldn't be surprised if it continues regardless of this swap. Corey nods and says he doesn't know how Zaylin will feel yet, but he'll continue having chats with her to know where she falls in these tribe dynamics. As the day goes on, Zaylin hangs around camp, constantly keeping an eye out on Trance. Eventually, Trance sits down with her by the fire, asking her if she's good. Zaylin then asks him about his paranoia back before the EK vote off. Trance looks confused, asking her to remind him what happened. Zaylin then says he doubted her loyalty because he felt like she and Corey would vote Willow over EK the tribal. Plus, he ended up using his idol on Willow, proving that he didn't feel confident over the votes. Trance apologizes, claiming that day 4 was one of his hardest days. He couldn't think straight and allowed paranoia to take over him. Zaylin tells him she was pretty skeptical of him at that time, and she expressed that to other people. In confessional, Trance makes a confused face in response to Zaylin's comments. He doesn't really understand what she's trying to indicate in their conversation. Is she starting to distrust him? Does she still want to work with him? He's getting very sketched out by her vibes, especially knowing how close she is to Corey now. Trance then tells Zaylin that he's not worried like in the past because he knows how their ideas align in terms of targets. He assumes they will get Nora out next tribal council, just as they planned to do in the past, and Zaylin gives a simple nod in response. It's day 13, and on Koh Tao, Morgan sits by the water with Wesley as they have been filling each other in on each other's tribe dynamics from the mini-swap. Morgan then tells Wesley that from what she's seeing right now, the two of them, Jordan and Kaylee, can come together again and vote together until merge. As for who they will target, that's where things get tricky. In confessional, Morgan says she feels great reuniting with Wesley. It allows her to get back in with him, Kaylee, and Jordan, just like old times. However, Wesley is closer to Chloe and Joe while she's closer to Liesl, and those three are their only voting options moving forward. Wesley then tells Morgan that he's unsure how things will play out, but as long as the four stick together, he's cool with anything. Morgan says she's nervous about keeping Liesl around because everyone knows how close she is to a bunch of the Koh Pota people. At the same time, though, she loves having Liesl around as a person. Not to mention, Liesl has worked with her before. Kaylee then joins the two of them, asking what's up, and Morgan fills her in that they were just talking about keeping their four strong with Jordan. Kaylee nods and says she's down for this. In confessional, Kaylee says she's pretty indifferent with what happens with this tribe's dynamics. All she knows is she's in a good spot, having tight relationships with everyone here. She can pick where she wants to go, whether she wants to go with Wesley, Morgan, and Jordan, or flip on them since she already tried to vote Morgan out before. Meanwhile, Jordan, Joe, and Chloe hang around camp, and Jordan tends the fire to later cook everyone some rice. Chloe tells Jordan he looks like he lost some weight already, and Jordan says he hasn't noticed. Joe laughs and jokes that he actually gained some weight from chowing down on those spicy pancakes not too long ago. Jordan says he didn't actually find them that spicy. They just tasted weird. In confessional, Joe says he can already tell that this new tribe will function just the same as old Koh Tao did. Jordan and Morgan want to run this tribe, but he's not going to let that happen. It's time for a new Joe to summon from the ashes. They took out his good friend Angela, and now he wants to get payback. He needs to keep Chloe and Wesley tight to him, and then he needs to hold chats with Liesl to see how willing she is to take out Jordan and Morgan. Later on, Joe finds Liesl and asks if they can chat, and she says yes. Joe then tells her that based on their few personal chats they had yesterday, he really likes her and wants to move forward with her in the game. Basically, he feels confident enough to share his thoughts with her about this tribe's dynamics. Liesl says sure, and Joe starts explaining how Jordan is trying to run this tribe. He's going back to his old Koh Tao roots, which would leave himself and Chloe on the bottom. He wants them three to now work together and try getting Wesley on board to put 4 votes onto Jordan if they lose immunity. Liesl smiles and says it would be epic, and in confessional, Liesl says she's actually fairly interested in Joe's plan to blindside Jordan. It would be a huge move for sure. Jordan and Morgan will try to run this camp, but little do they know, a blindside is brewing. Liesl then tells Joe she's all in, just as long as they have 4 votes. Joe promises they'll have enough, so the two then split from each other. Back on Koh Pota, Trance chats with Ella, telling her he feels sketched out about Zaylin from their chats yesterday. Ella sighs and says she really thinks he needs to stop worrying about Zaylin. He can't start questioning her loyalty when they literally can't work with anyone else on this tribe. Who will they work with? Nora. Trance says obviously not, and he's not trying to flip on Zaylin or anything. He's just wary of the fact that she could flip on them. In confessional, Ella says she doesn't see where Trance is coming from. It seems like his day 4 paranoia is coming back. He's stuck on Zaylin and she doesn't understand why. Ella then tells Trance the two of them, Zaylin and Corey, need to stick together and make sure they survive until merge. Trance then says he'll just stay out of any drama then because he doesn't want to ruin their alliance from his paranoia. Meanwhile, Zaylin, Sabrina, and Nora chat, and Nora talks about how adamant Ella has been all season to take her out, and she just doesn't get her problem. Zaylin says she personally has a problem with Trance because he's trying to babysit his quote-unquote allies. In confessional, Zaylin admits she's pretty frustrated with Trance. She doesn't really want to work with him anymore. She already has Sabrina and Corey as solid numbers for her, so if she wanted to, she could flip things around and work with Nora and Luciano from now on. Nora then tells Zaylin that it would be smarter to work with herself and Luciano since they are much more reliable than Trance and Ella. They offer a lot more opportunities for them to survive to the merge and beyond. In confessional, Sabrina says she's closest to Zaylin right now, so she'll just go with whatever she wants. For herself, she doesn't have a personal preference of who goes home on this tribe. She'll trust Zaylin's judgment. It's day 14 now, and both tribes stand on the challenge mats, awaiting for their next immunity challenge. Justin takes back the immunity statue and says immunity is up for grabs again. For today's immunity challenge, both tribes will pick someone to compete in each round of a game of memory. A platform with a bunch of items will appear, and the goal is to memorize the order of items before the curtain closes. Then, a question will be asked about the sequence, and the first person to answer will have their answer count. If correct, their tribe scores a point. If wrong, the other tribe gains a point. The first tribe to score 3 total points will win immunity. Justin then asks if anyone wants to go up first, and Zaylin says she'll go from Ko Poda, while Kaylee raises her hand from Ko Tao. The two women then stand in their positions and await for the curtain to open. It then opens, revealing a pig, train, fire pit, chair, and fire pit. The curtain closes, and Justin asks which item appeared between the 2 repeated items. Kaylee answers with chair immediately, and Justin says it's correct. Ko Tao now has 1 point on the board. Next round, we have Corey up for Ko Poda, and Wesley up for Ko Tao. The curtain then opens, revealing a train, fire pit, flamingo, chair, fire pit, and flamingo. The curtain closes, and Justin asks for the item that appeared fourth in the sequence. Both men stay silent, and Wesley takes a crack and answers with chair. Justin says that is correct, meaning we're at 2 points for Ko Tao. For the next round, we have Ella up against Joe. The round begins, and the sequence includes a pig, train, chair, fire pit, pig, and train. The curtain closes, and Justin asks for the 2 items that appeared the least. Both Ella and Joe say fire pit at the same time, and then Ella quickly says a log for the second item. Joe says he was about to say chair, and Justin claims it was actually a fire pit and chair, meaning Ella automatically grants the other tribe a point for being wrong. That means Ko Tao has 1 immunity, safe from tonight's tribal council. That means someone from Ko Poda will be the 7th person voted out of Survivor Thailand. Justin then hands the immunity statue to Ko Tao, and he tells everyone to head back to camp. Both tribes then make their way back to camp, and in confessional, Zaylin says she's ready to make a big move tonight. She's no longer associating herself with Trance because of his constant sketchy behavior. We're now at Ko Poda's camp, and everyone stands around, feeling a bit defeated by the last challenge. Corey mentions how the 2 tribes are pretty balanced in challenge skill sets. They just got unlucky with today's challenge since it required fast reaction times. He feels like they'd do better in puzzles. Sabrina agrees, claiming that she herself is a queen at puzzles. She just hasn't been able to prove it yet. In confessional, Ella says that the plan still remains the same as before. Nora will need to go home to not only strengthen the tribe, but also to get rid of someone who has targeted her for some time. At the moment, she feels good about Trance and Zaylin's votes, but Corey's and Sabrina's are up in the air. Zaylin will probably do a better job convincing them since she has better relationships with those two. With the vote chats beginning to escalate, Zaylin talks with Corey, telling him that she'd like to see Trance go tonight. Corey looks taken aback, but he says he's cool with flipping on Trance since he personally would rather work with Luciano and Nora going forward. In confessional, Corey says that he doesn't have a great game relationship with Trance, and he doesn't have any sort of relationship with Ella. Luciano has actually put an effort to communicate with him, hence why he finds him more reliable as an ally than Trance and Ella combined. Corey then tells Zaylin that his only worry is that Trance has an idol. He found one before and likely knew where to look for the re-hidden one. Zaylin then asks him if they should just try to blindside him, but Corey says he'd rather not risk it and instead vote for Trance's closest ally, Ella. Not only is Trance better in challenges than Ella, but he's also a bigger target than her. In confessional, Corey says he identifies Ella as a threat to his individual game, hence why he wants to target her. At least Trance is a shield for him in the future. Ella has allies on the other hand, and one of them is Zaylin. It might be a reach to try convincing Zaylin to flip on her friend and ally, but he wants to remind her that he took out Wilbert over Sabrina 2 tribals ago. Zaylin then tells Corey that she's hesitant to make this move, but Corey tells her that he'd really appreciate if she could do this for him since he made sure to vote her way when Wilbert got out. To him, it's a favor that he'd really like her to go through with. Zaylin stands in silence, thinking about the decision. Meanwhile, Ella and Trance chat with Sabrina, letting her know that they plan to vote for Nora tonight. Sabrina says she's cool with this, though in confessional, Sabrina admits she doesn't know where she'll go with tonight's vote. Ella is actively trying to work with her, which is great, but Nora is doing the same. She feels like no matter what happens tonight, she'll be in a good position on this tribe. She's practically poised to make it to merge at this rate. Sabrina then asks Ella and Trance if they have Zaylin and Corey informed, and Trance says they know what to do. He'd also like her to talk with Zaylin if they have a close bond. The more they all talk about voting Nora, the more confident they will all be that the vote won't flip somehow. Later on, Trance walks around the forest, checking for any possible idols. In confessional, Trance points out how the Ko-Pota idol hasn't been found by him. At this point, he feels like someone has it in their pocket and isn't coming out with it. He hopes Nora and Luciano do not have possession of it. Otherwise, he'll regret not attempting a split vote between those two. The only reason him and Ella aren't risking a split vote plan is because of Corey and Sabrina. They aren't reliable allies just yet. Trance then stumbles across Corey, asking him if they can chat for a few minutes. Corey then says he looked for him since he wanted to chat too. Trance then asks Corey if they are still on Nora tonight, and Corey sighs, telling Trance that he doesn't know if he can work with him tonight. Trance's body goes cold, asking Corey why. Corey then tells Trance that he cannot trust him and Ella. He doesn't want to explain in any further detail, but he just can't trust them. In confessional, Trance is bewildered by Corey's confession that he's not working with himself and Ella tonight. That was a possible vital number for them. He's now questioning what deals Corey has made with the other side, and he's also wondering if Zaylin and Sabrina are in on this as well. Trance then asks Corey if he knows what Zaylin and Sabrina have decided, and Corey says he doesn't want to speak for them. It's better if he speaks with them instead. In confessional, Corey says that he wants to flush out any potential idols from Trance or Ella. He feels like Trance has the idol, so if they get him to use it on himself, Ella will go instead. With Trance now learning about the shift in the tribe's dynamics, he finds Ella at camp and brings her to the side to warn her about a flip being in the works against them. Ella's jaw drops, asking him what's going on, and Trance informs her that Corey is flipping to Nora and Luciano's side. Ella stands in silence, processing what she just learned, and then she asks Trance if Zaylin and Sabrina are joining that flip or not, and Trance says he's truthfully unsure. He'd like to think they have Zaylin with them, but he doesn't know how Sabrina's going to vote. In confessional, Ella says she's back to a panicked state. She came into this swap feeling great about her numbers, but now it seems things are switching up. She needs to talk to Zaylin and make sure they are still good. All they need is 4 votes for the majority, so if Corey is long gone, they need Zaylin and Sabrina's votes. While Ella and Trance chat, Zaylin notices them talking on the side and then tells Nora and Luciano she thinks Ella and Trance found out they are being flipped on. Luciano tilts his head in confusion, asking Zaylin what she means by this, and Zaylin confirms that she, Corey, and Sabrina are joining the 2 of them to get out Ella tonight. In confessional, Nora exhales because she just found out that Zaylin, Sabrina, and Corey are voting Ella tonight. If this is true, things will get juicy at tonight's tribal. She doesn't understand why Zaylin is flipping on Ella so easily, but hey, she'll take it since it means she's staying. Ella then asks Zaylin if they can chat alone, so Zaylin agrees to follow her somewhere private. Once they find a spot, Ella asks Zaylin if she's voting for Nora tonight. Zaylin then straight up says she's not. Ella covers her face, asking Zaylin why she's flipping, and Zaylin tells her she can't work with Trance anymore. Ella pleads Zaylin to just work with them for 1 vote to get Nora out, but Zaylin doesn't give in. Ella then stands in silence, and Zaylin says she's sorry. Ella then asks if she's voting her out, and Zaylin says she's voting for Trance. In confessional, Ella feels like Zaylin played her all season. She thought they were good friends and allies, but Zaylin is flipping all of a sudden. This is truly scary to experience, especially since there are barely any escape routes for her. Does she need to flip on Trance tonight? It's night 14, and Kopoda arrives at Tribal Council and sits in their seats. Justin welcomes them, claiming that it'll be their first time here as a brand new tribe. He then turns to Ella, telling her that this Tribal Council looks awfully similar to the previous one, since her and Trance were on one end and Luciano and Nora were on the other. Ella smiles and says it's quite funny how the swap ended up like this, and she actually considers tonight way different from the previous tribal. Justin then asks her to clarify, and Ella says it's no longer an Ella versus Nora situation. Everyone then turns to Ella immediately, and Trance backs up what Ella said. He mentions how Corey came up to him earlier, letting him know he's voting one of him or Ella out. Ella then says she personally thinks Corey would vote for her over Trance since he probably values challenge strength or something of that nature, and Corey immediately makes a confused face. Justin then asks Corey to reply to what Ella and Trance just said, and Corey says he doesn't have to say anything. He made it clear who he's voting for tonight to those he trusts, so they'll know what to expect of him. Trance then says he can't really say he was clear to those he trusts because his trust list fluctuates. Corey claims that's not true, but Trance says it's very much true. Corey has worked with almost everyone from original Kopoda. Zaylin then speaks up, telling Trance he can't speak on that if he himself acts the same way with her. He hasn't been able to trust her for whatever reason during the EK vote. Trance then says it involved Corey's actions as he tried to get Willow out that tribal, but Zaylin interrupts and says she doesn't care what Corey said or did. What she cares about is how he told Ella that he doesn't trust Zaylin, and how Zaylin might flip, and then Zaylin this, Zaylin that. Trance then laughs to himself and calls all of this insanity. Zaylin then calls Trance the actual insanity. Ella then gets up out of her seat and goes over to Nora and Luciano, starting to whisper to them. Justin then asks Sabrina if she has any clue what's going on now with Ella, Nora, and Luciano, and Sabrina says she really doesn't know and would rather not know. She's avoiding all potential drama and would rather sit here like a fly on the wall. She doesn't exist anymore. Zaylin then whispers to Corey, and Ella finally goes back to quickly whisper to Trance, and then she sits down. Justin then asks if everyone is settled now, and everyone nods. It's time to vote.
I'll tally the votes. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and they want to play it, now would be the time to do so. Alright, I'll read the votes. First vote, Ella. Corey. That's 1 vote Ella, 1 vote Corey. Ella. 2 votes Ella, 1 vote Corey. Corey. 2 votes Ella, 2 votes Corey. Ella. That's 3 votes Ella, 2 votes Corey. Seventh person voted out of Survivor Thailand. Ella.
Ella immediately gets up to go grab her torch, and Zaylin and Corey look at each other in major relief. Ella then places her torch down next to Justin and he snuffs her torch. She then makes her way out and Trance shakes his head in annoyance. Justin then tells the remaining 6 to head back to camp, so they all follow through and walk back to camp. Next time on Survivor Thailand, tensions rise on Koh Poda as Trance confronts Corey and Zaylin as liars and betrayers, telling the rest of the tribe to watch out for the 2 snakes in the tribe. On Koh Tao, things seem much calmer, at least from the outside looking in. However, the gameplay is fearless as Joe makes it his mission to get the numbers against Jordan and Morgan. Make sure to tune in next episode as it might just be a nail-biter. Ella's final thoughts. Ella is pretty upset with the way things went today. She went from having such a good pack to being the one voted out by her own friend. She doesn't know if she can forgive Zaylin, especially if this move screws her game up moving forward. At this rate, she hopes Trance makes it far and gets sweet revenge. His best bet is to try aligning himself with Nora and Luciano now. There's an opportunity to take out Corey and Zaylin. Trance just needs to play things smart to pull that off.